everyone, welcome back to Biophilia, your all-time study mate. Today we are going to continue the chapter of chemical coordination and integration with its part 4 about adrenal gland. If you like this video and get some help, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our amazing channel Biophilia. So now with this video we have come to a state wherein we would be discussing about the fifth gland of our endocrine system. So iske pehle, just for revision, let us understand that what all glands we had studied. So in the first part of this chapter we had seen about hypothalamus, that was master gland, master of the master gland. After hypothalamus, on the second part of this video we had seen about pituitary gland. Third part of the video we had covered about thyroid and its nearby gland, that is parathyroid gland. So with this we are on the fifth gland, and if you want to check out any of these glands in detail, then you can surely go and click on the link in the description box, and that will direct you to these parts of the chapter. So now coming to the fourth part of this chapter, we are going to see about adrenal glands. So adrenal glands को समझने के लिए first of all you need to understand the meaning of adrenal gland. So what does it mean? Adrenal में there are two words. The first one is going to be ad and the second one is going to be renal. So add is going to be related to addition, that is something is added onto the part that is renal. और renal word क्या मतलब होता है? Renal is for kidneys. So since these adrenal glands are going to be located above the kidneys, they seem that something has been externally added onto the kidneys, so it is called as adrenal gland. Now adrenal gland की position क्या होती है? It is going to be anterior to the part of the kidneys, and because of that it is located above the kidneys. You also call adrenal gland as the suprarenal glands. So supra means above, renal means kidneys, and gland is because of it is secreting hormones. So it is a suprarenal gland or also adrenal gland. So both are one and the same. So this is the second name that you can use for adrenal gland. Now adrenal glands are going to be paired glands because two kidneys are there, so there are going to be two adrenal glands. These are having dual origin. Dual origin है यानी वो एक single germ layer से नहीं होते हुए two germ layer से बनेगा. So one will be the mesoderm and second will be the ectoderm of the embryo. Now since the origin is going to be coming from two germ layers, it is going to have two different types of tissue. The first type of tissue has a name called as adrenal medulla and the second one is called as adrenal cortex. अब medulla जो होता है, it is going to be on the internal side and it is going to get originated from the ectoderm, whereas the adrenal cortex on the external part of the gland will be coming from the mesoderm. So this is the very important point to understand about the adrenal medulla and cortex. वो कहाँ से origin होंगे और adrenal gland पे कहाँ present होंगे. So medulla on the inner side, cortex on the outer side. So what is going to be the composition of this? So adrenal medulla जो होता है, it is going to constitute about 75 to 80% of the entire gland. So it is the maximum of the area, whereas adrenal cortex will be about 20 to 25%. So external layer जो होगी, that is about the lower one, that is 20 to 25, वो mesodermal होगी and maximum will be the ectodermal origin. So here in the video also you can see that how the adrenal medulla and adrenal cortex is going to be located. Now adrenal gland having some functions. So functions में it is going to control the things that is called as sugar metabolism, salt retention, sex hormone secretion, and the fourth one, that is source of energy. So it should be energy over here. So because of that reasons it is also called as a 4S gland. So अगर आप यहाँ पे देख पा रहे हो, there are going to be the things which are starting from S. So sugar metabolism, salt metabolism, then sex hormone secretion and source of energy. So because of that it is also called as a 4S gland. So now we have understood about the adrenal gland having the first name, that is suprarenal gland, or you can also call it as a 3S gland. Now we are seeing about the different parts of the adrenal gland. So दो parts देखे थे, the adrenal cortex and the adrenal medulla. So cortex जो होता है, it is going to be the external or the outer part of the gland, and it is going to come from the mesoderm of the embryo. Now this external cortex is going to be divided into three more layers. यानी आप उसे कैसे समझोगे? You are going to understand in the form of एक adrenal gland है. So adrenal gland is going to be having two parts. One is going to be the cortex, one is going to be the medulla. So write about it. Now we are studying about cortex. This may you are going to have more three parts. And what are these three parts? These three parts are going to be zona reticularis, zona fasciculata, and zona glomerulosa. So here we have reticularis, we here have fasciculata, and then finally glomerulosa. So this is going to be your entire understanding about the adrenal gland. So zona reticularis जो होगा, it is going to be the innermost layer. So if you understand here, once you have a longitudinal section of the adrenal cortex, the adrenal gland, you will see different layers of it. So सबसे बाहर की जो layer होगी, it is going to be the first layer called as capsule. The second one is going to be the part of adrenal cortex, which is going to be the outermost layer of the adrenal cortex called as zona glomerulosa. The third one is going to be zona fasciculata, the middle one, and the fourth layer of the adrenal gland is going to be zona reticularis. So 2, 3 and 4 are going to together be called as cortex, and the last layer, the innermost layer, is going to be called as adrenal medulla. So इतना part क्या हो गया? इतना part हो गया your medulla of the adrenal gland. So with this you can understand that how the layers are going to be located. Now here you also need to understand that adrenal cortex is going to release some kinds of hormones. So what are these kinds of hormones? These are called as 20 types of steroid hormones, and these steroid hormones are also called as cortical steroids or corticoids. So in corticoids, there are three types of corticoids which will be released from the adrenal cortex. So three layers hai in the cortex. So there are three corticoids that will be secreted. So first is called as mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids, and the sex corticoids. So in here we need to understand कि जो three layers है, that is reticularis, then there is fasciculata and the glomerulosa. So इन तीनों में से कौन से corticoids release होंगे? So once we understand about the reticularis is going to release the sex corticoids, and then once we go to the fasciculata, the middle layer, we will see that it is releasing glucocorticoids. After glucocorticoids, the last layer, that is called as glomerulosa, it is going to release the mineralocorticoids. So now you know what are the layers and what sort of hormones will be released from these layers. So now one by one we will discuss in detail about all these corticoids. The first one is going to be the mineralocorticoids, जो कहाँ से release होगा? It is going to get released from the zona glomerulosa. Zona glomerulosa कहाँ होगा? It is going to be the outermost layer of the adrenal cortex. So outermost of the cortex but not of the adrenal gland. So that needs to be understood. It is going to be a steroid hormone क्योंकि वहाँ पे क्या नाम है? Corticoids. So it is a origination from steroid base. So mineralocorticoids में से the most important or the most important of those mineralocorticoids of our understanding is going to be aldosterone. So the one we will be understanding under the category of mineralocorticoids is aldosterone, which is released from the zona glomerulosa. And what is this hormone going to do? This hormone is going to regulate the water and electrolyte balance. So पानी कितना है बॉडी में और कितना सोडियम आयन्स है, कितना पोटेशियम आयन्स है, कितना क्लोरीन आयन्स है, all that ions need to be managed into our body, and that management of water and electrolyte will be done by the hormone on aldosterone. So how is it going to act and where does it act? So aldosterone जब release होता है, when is it released? It is going to get released when the conditions are like the potassium concentration increases or sodium concentration falls. So it is very important. Potassium is rising or sodium is decreasing. Then in this case, what will happen? Aldosterone is going to be released. So aldosterone जैसे ही release होगा, what is the next action that is going to be done? Aldosterone will be stimulating the renal tubules. So since these are above the kidneys, so ये kidneys पे बहुत जल्दी function कर सकते हैं. So this will aldosterone will go and stimulate what? It will stimulate the tubules. सो रीनल ट्यूब्यूल्स जो होंगे उसको सिग्नल आउट करेगा कि आपको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा अब्जॉर्ब किसको करना है, आपको सोडियम को अब्जॉर्ब करना है, बिकॉज सोडियम कॉन्सेंट्रेशन इज लो इन द बॉडी. सो सोडियम नीड्स टू बी अब्जॉर्ब एंड वंस सोडियम इज अब्जॉर्ब लेवल विल बी बैलेंस्ड. और अभी प्रॉब्लम क्या था? प्रॉब्लम वॉज पोटेशियम वॉज मोर. सो सिंस पोटेशियम वॉज मोर इन द ब्लड, पोटेशियम विल बी टोल्ड टू filter it out. So उसको बाहर फेंक दिया जाएगा. It will be excreted by the tubules. So tubules को stimulate किया क्या करने को? सोडियम को absorb करो और पोटेशियम को excrete कर दो, so that the concentrations of these ions in the blood can be regulated. So this way the aldosterone is going to function. So aldosterone को जब absorb करवाना होता है सोडियम को, तो excrete करना is comparatively easier, but once you need to absorb, once you need to take sodium ions into the blood, there is going to be need of energy. So it is called as the active uptake of sodium ions, and it is going to be coming from the nephric filtrate, which will be acting over the DCT and the collected tubules. So DCT क्या होता है? Distal convoluted tubules. So it is a part of the kidneys, which will be understood better in the chapter of that. So you might have understood about DCTs, the PCT and the collected tubules as well. So वो किसके ऊपर function करेगा? It will be functioning majorly on the DCT and the CT, that is collecting tubules, so that the sodium ions can be absorbed again back and maintain the blood levels. So that was about the mineralocorticoids released from zona glomerulosa. And apart from the mineralocorticoids, major one that is to be understood, that is aldosterone. The next is going to be glucocorticoids. So glucocorticoids जो होते हैं, again these are steroid based hormones because these come from a category of corticoids. So this will be released from the zona fasciculata, which is going to be the middle layer of the adrenal cortex. Now glucocorticoids जो होते हैं, it is going to include three hormones. जैसे हमने mineralocorticoids में we had seen about aldosterone. Similarly glucocorticoids में there are three hormones, that is cortisol, cortisone and cortisterone. Out of this, our major interest will be under cortisol. So cortisol is going to be the main glucocorticoid, which we will be understanding in detail. So जैसे हमने aldosterone को majorly function में लिया, similarly here in glucocorticoids we consider cortisol as our main study. So in the corticoids we will be understanding that all these three, cortisol, cortisone and cortisterone, all will be involved in the carbohydrate metabolism, so that energy can be produced, and again in regulation of protein and fat. So all the way glucocorticoids जो होंगे, जैसे नाम है gluco, so gluco is generally related to glucose and glucose is related to energy. So ये सारा जो है वो glucose बनाने के लिए होगा, so that energy can be provided. So all these, that is the glucocorticoids release, will be stimulating the processes that are three. The first will be gluconeogenesis. So gluconeogenesis, once you understand, what do you need to see? Gluconeogenesis. So gluconeo and genesis, here are the three words that you need to understand. Gluco is going to be glucose, neo is going to refer to new, and genesis is formation. So what is the meaning or definition of gluconeogenesis? Whenever there is going to be synthesis of glucose from new sources. New sources कौन से होंगे? New sources are the non-carbohydrate sources which can include glycerol, which can include amino acids. So whatever synthesis of glucose will be done from new sources, it will be called as a process of gluconeogenesis. So gluconeogenesis का opposite क्या होगा? It will be glucolysis. So glucolysis means again it has two words, gluco and lysis. So gluco is going to refer to glucose and lysis is going to refer to breaking. So when glucose is broken down to release energy, it will be glucolysis, whereas gluconeogenesis is formation of glucose. So next process that these glucocorticoids will be functioning for is the lipolysis. So जैसे we have understood about lysis, that is breaking down और breakdown, but यहाँ पे किसका breakdown होगा? It will be of lipo. Lipo word किसके लिए आता है? Lipo will be used for lipids. So when lipids will be broken down, that is fats will be broken down to release fatty acids, this will be contributed by the glucocorticoids released from the zona fasciculata. Then there will be proteolysis. Again, word lysis is going to be for degradation or breakdown or breaking of what? Proteo, which is going to be the word related to proteins. सो प्रोटीन्स को जब ब्रेक डाउन करके एनर्जी बनाई जाएगी, दैट मीन्स प्रोटीन्स डिग्रेडेड इनटू स्मॉलर यूनिट्स, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज अमीनो एसिड्स, and these amino acids will be taken by the cells to release energy. All this will be stimulated by which hormones? It is the glucocorticoids. The cortisols, that is the main hormone that we understand about in the glucocorticoids. So major glucocorticoid is going to be the cortisol, which will be involved in various functionings other than the three that we saw. So वो क्या क्या functioning और करेगा? It is going to be involved in maintaining the cardiovascular system as well as the kidney functions. So it will be working on heart, also it will be working on kidneys. So after this it is also going to produce anti-inflammatory reactions so that it will suppress the immune system. So here it is very important to understand that cortisol is suppressing the immune system, यानी वो antibody formation को रोक देगा. And once the antibody formation has been reduced, what will happen? It can be used in the graft processes. So used in once the patient who have undergone transplant, so ट्रांसप्लांट होने के बाद इम्यून सिस्टम को जब कंट्रोल करना होता है, जब सप्रेस करना होता है, cortisol can be used to suppress the immune system and it can be used in transplant patient so that graft rejection ना हो. So you understand about it, I hope. So cortisol जो होता है, it is also going to retard the phagocytic activities of WBCs. So again in a way it is going to help in suppressing the immune system क्योंकि WBCs का functioning कम हो जाएगा. And once the functioning of WBCs has been reduced, what will happen? It is going to suppress the inflammatory reactions as well. So sometimes when people have allergic reaction, so allergy की वजह से जब bronchioles वगैरह में inflammation हो जाता है, even in that case cortisols can be released. So cortisol will also suppress the synthesis of antibodies. So as we discussed, it is going to be an anti-inflammatory, it is going to be suppressing the WBCs, it will also suppress antibodies, and therefore it is called as an immunosuppressor and can be used for patients who have undergone transplant surgeries. And then cortisol, ये तो सारे हमने देखे, which is going to be the inhibiting side, whereas stimulation किसका होगा? It will be stimulating the RBC production, and because of that it is going to increase the RBC count. And cortisol will also be used, as I told you, in transplant surgeries so that it can suppress the immune system. So here you can understand the some various functions of cortisols apart from the three, that is gluconeogenesis, proteolysis and the lipolysis. Other than that, all these functions are also going to be taken care by the cortisol. So we come to the next hormone category, that is gonadocorticoids. So these gonadocorticoids are the steroid hormones which will be coming from the zona reticularis, and zona reticularis these are the hormones that include majorly the androgens. और androgens क्या होते हैं? These are majorly the male sex hormones. So andro जो word होता है, it is going to be regarding the males. So androgens में से the major androgen क्या होता है? Major androgen is going to be the testosterone. So testosterone के जो functions होते हैं, you can relate to those function of androgens, and majorly androgens release होंगे, but some amount of estrogen can also be secreted from the reticularis. Now the androgenic steroids, that is nothing but these androgens, they are going to be functioning for the external sexual characteristics, यानी जैसे testosterone function करता है for secondary sexual characteristics, similarly here also this will be functioning for the growth of axial hair, for pubic hair, facial hair. So all these external characteristics which will be going on changing during puberty time, this all will be accelerated because of these gonadocorticoids. And these secretion यानी gonadocorticoids का secretion कौन regulate करेगा? Because these are the things that needs to be regulated by some or the other thing. So उसका regulation, इसका coordination कैसे होगा? It will be because of a hormone that releases from the anterior pituitary, that is called as adrenocorticotropic hormone, that is ACTH. One ACTH is going to be released and it stimulates the zona reticularis. Then only there will be secretion of these hormones that are called as steroid or the sex corticoids. So ACTH will be functioning for the release of this hormone. So what are the examples of sex corticoids? It will be the hormones which are going to be related to androgens or in some amounts of estrogens. Now what are the disorders? हमने सारे के सारे normal conditions देख लिए wherein all the hormones are released in normal states from different parts of that cortex. So cortex में 3 parts थे. It was including the zona fasciculata, zona reticularis, even we saw about zona glomerulosa. So वो सारे normal conditions थे. But what will happen if the hormones are released in decreased or in increased amounts? So according to that, there will be some disorders that the person will suffer from. So the first disease we are going to understand in detail, it is Addison's disease. So this Addison's disease is going to be because of the destruction of the adrenal cortex. So destruction किस वजह से हो रहा है? It can occur because of tuberculosis, and once the adrenal cortex is destroyed, the person can suffer from Addison's disease. And Addison's disease में cortex destroy हुआ. So cortex किस वजह से? It is going to be because of deficiency, यानी उसका जो hormone secretion होगा, hormone secretion is going to be deficient. It is a hypo condition, यानी decreased secretion है. And what it will be of the glucocorticoids and the mineralocorticoids. So whatever the hormones had the function to do, वो functions अभी reduced action में होंगे because hormones released are less because of destruction to the adrenal cortex. Now what are the major functions of these two hormones? We have understood just now कि glucocorticoids जो होते हैं, these are related to glucose, wherein the formation of energy is done. So metabolism होगा, different sources से glucose form होगा, and this glucose will be used by the body to have energy. So अगर glucocorticoids कम होंगे, what will be the case of the person? The person will feel very weak, उसको ज़्यादा एनर्जी नहीं होगी. एंड मिनरलोकॉर्टिकॉइड्स अगर कम हो जाते हैं, सो फंक्शन ऑफ मिनरलोकॉर्टिकॉइड्स इज गोइंग टू बी फॉर द वाटर एंड इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स रिटेंशन. सो अगर मिनरलोकॉर्टिकॉइड्स रिलीज कम हो रहे हैं, बिकॉज ऑफ दैट द चेंजेस दैट नीड्स टू बी ऑकरिंग बिटवीन द सोडियम एंड द पोटेशियम आयन्स. तो सोडियम आयन्स अगर कम हो रहे हैं, पोटेशियम आयन्स बढ़ रहे हैं, तो उनको ब्लड में चेंजेस कराने के लिए सोडियम को जो अब्सॉर्ब कराना होता है और पोटेशियम को जो रिलीज कराना होता होता है या एक्सक्रीट कराना होता है, all these are not going to occur. And once this is not occurring, what will happen? There are going to be different symptoms that are going to be seen under the Addison's disease. So now you can understand that what symptoms are going to occur in the patient. So first of all, there will be bronze like pigmentation. So this is one of the important scene that you can understand about Addison's disease. So this is a major symptom that you can understand from the external appearance. So once you have taken the blood samples होने के बाद you can also understand that there will be low blood glucose, and blood glucose कम है. Why? Because glucocorticoids have been reduced. There will be low plasma having sodium, क्योंकि सोडियम का absorption नहीं हो पा रहा है because low mineralocorticoids. There will be fall in plasma content of potassium ions. There will be increased urinary sodium ions because absorb होने की जगह पे सारे के सारे excrete हो रहे. Then there will be nausea, there will be vomiting, there is diarrhea because again the maintenance of water is not occurring. And all these symptoms you can now relate. Why? Because the source has been understood that there is damage to the cortex, and because of that these hormones are not being released in normal conditions. So that is about our first disease, that is Addison's disease. Second जो है, it is called as aldosteroidism, which is also having a second name, that is Const syndrome. So this is going to be because of excessive secretion of aldosterone. So excessive secretion है यानी hormones ज़्यादा release हो रहे हैं. It is going to be a case of hyper secretion. So once there is going to be excessive secretion of aldosterone, so aldosterone क्या है? It is going to be a mineralocorticoid. So mineralocorticoid का function क्या होता है? It is going to have the function of salt and water retention. So salt और water को body में रखना, maintain करना is the work of aldosterone. So अगर बहुत ज़्यादा एल्डोस्टेरॉन रिलीज होगा तो क्या होगा? सारा का सारा पानी अंदर ही रख लिया जाएगा. देयर विल बी नो आउटपुट ऑफ द वाटर, देयर विल बी नो सोडियम आयंस, एवरीथिंग, ऑल द सोडियम आयंस विल बी केप्ट इनसाइड द बॉडी. सारे के सारे पोटेशियम को बाहर फेंक दिया जाएगा. and all that thing is going to happen in the case of Const syndrome. So as you know the normal functions of aldosterone, अगर उसको aldosterone के levels बढ़ा दिए जाएंगे तो उसका सब इफेक्ट ज़्यादा होने लगेगा, and that is nothing but going to be the symptoms of this disease. So why is it happening? It is going to happen because sometimes there might be a tumor that can be formed in the adrenal cortex, जिसकी वजह से the mineralocorticoids would be released in higher amounts. So now you can understand what can be the symptoms. There are going to be characteristics, that is high plasma sodium levels, because sodium levels बहुत ज़्यादा absorb कर लिए जाएंगे because of aldosterone functioning. सारे के सारे पोटेशियम आयन्स को बाहर फेंक दिया जाएगा, एक्सक्रीट कर दिया जाएगा. सो देर इज लो प्लाज्मा लेवल्स, लो प्लाज्मा having potassium ions. There will be rise in blood volume because सारा water retain कर लिया जाएगा, water को excrete नहीं करेगा, and because of that the blood volume is going to increase. And once the blood volume increases, the pressure is going to increase. And because of high blood pressure, जब heart में से pump होके kidney के पास आएगा for purification, during that time because of high blood pressure there can be kidney damage, and kidney damage हो जाएगी. So you can understand that because of kidney damage the water and salt concentration will not be going on a smoother function, and because of that the patient can also have the condition called as polyuria, wherein उसको बहुत ज़्यादा urine होगा. It is a dilute urine, and बहुत ज़्यादा quantities में dilute, and quantity will also be more. So quantity of urine is more, and even the person will be very thirsty. So there is going to be, person will not feel to drink water even if the quantities of urine is very dilute, or it is going to be frequent urination. Dilute नहीं होगी because water retain हो गया है, but it will be frequent urination. उसको बाहर बहुत बार washroom जाने की tendency होगी, and all this will be about the polyuria. Moving to the third disorder, it is going to be about Cushing syndrome, and Cushing syndrome is going to be caused because of too much secretion of cortisol or too much secretion here. So it is a condition of hyper hormone secretion, and it is going to have the reason of too much secretion, that is tumor. So tumor की वजह से cells की growth ज़्यादा हो गई है, and because of that the hormones is released in much more quantity than it is required. So what is going to be the function of cortisol, we have already understood. So जब हार्मोन ज़्यादा रिलीज होगा तो उसके जो functions होंगे even that will be accelerated. So because of that, now you know what are the functions of cortisol, so you can understand the symptoms that is going on around the Cushing syndrome. So there is going to be high blood sugar, there is appearance of sugar in urine because इतनी ज़्यादा blood sugar है that even after absorbing into the blood there is still sugar left in the filtrate that goes through the kidneys. So because of that the urine will also have sugar. There will be obesity because glucose का इतना ज़्यादा है कि वो यूज़ नहीं कर पा रहा है, and because of that other sources of fat is not being used, so obesity हो सकता है. There can be wasting of limb muscles, there can be increase in plasma sodium concentration, there will be fall in K plus concentrations, and because of that the sodium and potassium ions are not in balance, water can be retained, and because of that blood volumes will increase, and once there is blood volume increase blood pressure also increases. So in Cushing syndromes, majorly in males, there can be also a symptom that is called as excessive hair growth. So जब hair growth बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाती है it is called as hirsutism, whereas in females there will be masculization, यानी जो लड़कियां हैं उनको बहुत सी बार beards and mustaches नहीं होते हैं, but because of this Cushing syndrome there can be masculization, and that can also be a symptom to understand the Cushing syndrome. So in Cushing syndrome one thing you can also understand is going to be about the different symptoms जो externally visualize किए जा सकते हैं. So here we have understood it in the form of photograph. So there can be symptoms of a buffalo hump. So buffalo hump के बारे में भी it is very important to understand in this Cushing syndrome. So Cushing syndrome आपको question में पूछा जा सकता है about buffalo hump. So buffalo hump अगर symptom दिया हुआ है then it can be about the Cushing syndrome. It can be also speaking about the moon phase. If there is speaking about moon phase, so moon phase जो भी है it is also going to signify that the question is speaking about Cushing syndrome. So moon phase है because water retained है, everything is OB, the face is going to look very swollen. फेस swollen है वो मून जैसा लगने लगता है, राउंड राउंड लगने लगता है, and these two symptoms of buffalo hump and moon face are going to be very important. These are asked as MCQs, and once you see these terms you can directly understand about it is speaking Cushing syndrome. Then the fourth disease we see is going to be the adrenal virilism. Adrenal virilism जो है it is going to be because of again excessive secretion, that is hyper secretion of hormone, that is sex corticoids. So sex corticoids जब ज़्यादा release होंगे there is going to be male type external characteristics, because in sex corticoids what is going to be the major hormone that is released, it is mainly the androgens and in some quantity about the estrogens, but majorly since it is androgens, androgens are regarding the male hormone. So male hormone ज़्यादा release हो रहा है, then in females there will be male type external characteristics, like there can be formation of beard, there can be mustaches, and even the voice can change and the female can sound like a man. So all this can happen because of imbalance of hormones released, and one such example is adrenal virilism. Now here you have understood about two things wherein females get beard and mustaches. So एक जो होगा that is masculization, and the other one is going to be the virilism. So what is the difference between masculization and virilism? virilism. Virilism जो होता है, it is much more extensive, it is much more advanced version, whereas hirsutism or masculization जो होता है, it is much more smaller scaled, whereas adrenal virilism बहुत ज़्यादा advanced function है, wherein the females are going to have much more characteristics of males. Because indirectly you can understand male hormones are secreted in larger quantities, whereas Cushing syndrome में male hormones release नहीं हो रहे हैं ज़्यादा, it is just some other symptoms that are seen of excessive hair growth or masculization in females. So that is the difference that you need to understand between hirsutism, masculization in females, and the virilism. Now we had seen about the adrenal cortex. Now we come to the part that is adrenal medulla. So adrenal cortex के हमने 3 layers पढ़े थे about zona reticularis, zona fasciculata, and zona last one that was glomerulosa. But here in adrenal medulla you don't have such divisions. It is combinedly, and it is going to constitute as a revision. It is 75 to 80%. So this adrenal medulla is going to develop from where? It is developing from the neuroectoderm of the embryo, and it is going to be consisting of the inner part of the adrenal gland. अब adrenal medulla से कौन से 2 hormones release होंगे? It will be the hormones called as epinephrine, or other name will be adrenaline, or norepinephrine, also called as noradrenaline. So epinephrine or norepinephrine, when these are both combined together, it is called as catecholamines. So catecholamines use हो नाम में, question में, or it is used as epinephrine or norepinephrine, both mean the same, and catecholamines are nothing but the hormones released from adrenal medulla. So once these catecholamines, that is epinephrine and norepinephrine, these are released during the stress, whenever the body is under any kind of stress or it is under emergency situations, then it is going to be released. And because of emergency situations these hormones are released, it is also called as emergency hormones. So epinephrine or norepinephrine को क्या बोला जाता है? It is called as emergency hormones. And because emergency hormones are released from the adrenal gland, it is also called as emergency gland. So emergency gland किसका नाम है? It is the name of adrenal gland. Adrenal gland के in the starting of this video we had seen 2 more names. One name was 4S gland because of the functions that it performs starting from the S, and it was also having another name that is called as suprarenal gland. So I have this combination of all the other names combined at one place will help you to understand all the names at one glance. So emergency gland नाम आए या adrenal gland, 4S gland या suprarenal gland, all have the same meaning, or they speak about catecholamines, or they speak about emergency hormones, or if they speak of epinephrine and norepinephrine, they have the same meaning. Now once these hormones are released under the stress or emergency situations, these are going to prepare the body for 3 conditions. कौन से 3 conditions होंगे? It is flight, fright and fight. So it can happen कि अगर आपके सामने कोई स्ट्रेस है, कुछ इमरजेंसी है, तो एक हो सकता है कि आप डर के मारे उस जगह से भाग जाओ, that is it is going to be a flight, आप वहाँ से भाग पा रहे हो. You are scared, that is you are frightened, that is fright situation. And other thing that can go around is you can fight against that situation. आप वहीं पर डट के खड़े रहोगे और सामने वाले से मुकाबला करोगे. So these hormones can prepare your body for all the 3 things. You can be scared, that is fright. You can be scared and run away, that is flight. And you can stay there and fight against. So all this will be coming under the 4 F's, that is flight, fright and fight. So because of that it is also having another name that is called as 3F hormones. So now we have the names of epinephrine and norepinephrine. These are also termed as adrenaline or noradrenaline. उनको emergency hormones भी बोलते हैं, or even these are also called as 3F hormones, because these prepare the body for the 3F condition, that is फ्लाइट, फ्राइट एंड फाइट. सो उस कंडीशंस में जब आपकी बॉडी प्रिपेयर हो रही है फॉर फाइट और फ्लाइट रिस्पॉन्स, यानी आप लड़ोगे या वहाँ से भाग जाओगे, during that time what are the changes that happens into your body? So first of all, once you are frightened or once you want to fight against, your body will be having much more changes that occurs because of this hormone release. So सबसे पहले जो होगा, that is going to be your saliva flow decreases so that you do not waste energy onto it. Your pupils will dilate so that you can have much more vision. Your vision will increase because of dilation so that you can have understanding about the surroundings. Then the changes that occurs in the skin, that will be your blood vessels will constrict, and blood vessel constrict होगा तो उस टाइम पे blood flow ज़्यादा होगा and the oxygen levels can be increased. There will be chills and sweating. So जब सामने पेपर आता है, आपको क्वेश्चन नहीं आता है, you are scared, and that is nothing but a condition of fright. So your body will start you will feel कि आपको बहुत ज़्यादा ठंड लग रही है, आपको शिवरिंग हो रहा है, और you can also be sweating once you are scared. So all that changes are going to occur because of the hormones released from the adrenal medulla. Your heart will start pouncing, आपके heart beats बढ़ जाएंगे, that will be heard from a very you can feel the heartbeats because heart rate बढ़ जाएगी. Your lungs, your breathing rate will occur at a higher rate. आपका deep breathing शुरू हो जाएगा because oxygen needs to be provided to all over your body. Your stomach will be contributing so that your digestion is stopped for a while. The digestive enzymes are not released, so that energy for the release of these is also provided for flight or fight. And bowels, again there will be slowdown of everything so that all the energy can be turned over for these actions. Your muscles will be ready so that you can either run or you can fight against, so these are ready to do all the things. Blood vessels जो होंगे, blood pressure बढ़ जाएगा because major of the vessels are dilated so that they can provide the different kinds of oxygen and the nutrient supply. So these are the different ways by which your body is going to react once the emergency hormones are being released. So that was about the adrenal cortex and the adrenal medulla. So we have covered both the things in much more detail. We have also understood the different kinds of disorders that can occur because of increased or decreased secretion of the hormones. So that was all about this video regarding adrenal gland. If you understood this gland in much more easier manner, then don't forget to let us know by your like, share and subscribe to our channel. And if you understood or if you want to share anything to us, then you can write down in the comment section as well. Until the time we meet you back soon with the next part with the new gland, till then keep studying, keep smiling. Bye bye. Thank you.